Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the director. I've been playing the Darwin Project since the beginning and have made a lot of guides with the top players in Darwin. This guide isn't going to be any different. I grabbed the top players Cat and Moonshine to come help me out with this one. I've linked them and myself down below, so if you haven't already started supporting my channel, I'd appreciate it if you would go ahead, like, and sub, because these guides take a lot of editing. With launch, a lot has changed. I've seen a lot of guides come out there teaching you guys the basics, and that's really great. But I'm making this guide to give you an extra edge against your opponents in the arena. In this guide, I'm going to go over the top player builds, the fastest way to move with each class, and fighting tactics you probably don't know. A lot is changing with Darwin Project, so I hope using these tips and tricks help you for now. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright guys, so the first build I'm going to be covering today is the Jet Wings. For the Jet Wings class, Cat and Moonshine both upgrade to max fuel efficiency. The reason that they do this is so that they can dash 3 times instead of 2, and it also recharges a bit quicker. The next upgrade is the blast off electronic. The reason they do this is so if they find themselves needing to escape, they can boost for momentum and then blast off to get a lot of distance. If you blast off without boosting though, you would go more straight up instead of getting that much needed distance. You can combo this with the boom shroom to get across the map even quicker. The next upgrade depends on your playstyle. Cat upgrades his next electronic Ice Bolt. He's going to do this because it feels so much stronger to him to have both electronics before upgrading his class further. He then puts his Darwinium into thruster speed because it helps you stall better and also juke while in the air. Any other points he has, he puts into arrow damage. That's the way he's going to build for a tournament. In a public game, feel free to go ahead and upgrade arrows to play more aggressively. Getting fuel first and then blast off is hands down the best way to upgrade for any game though. Moonshine builds a little bit differently, but that's just because of his playstyle. He would get the max fuel efficiency, of course, and then he likes getting blast off, and then he would put 1 point in his thrusters and then 2 points in his death from above for 200 arrow damage. Your axe and arrows normally hit for 150 with any class unless you upgrade. 3 arrows while airborne would kill an enemy without any armor, and if you upgraded to full damage, you could kill somebody with 2 arrows and an axe swing. Lastly, he would get his Ice Bolt and upgrade his thrusters fully. The fastest way to move with the Jet Wings class is to hit a boom shroom, then blast off and boost 3 times. Without a boom shroom, blasting off and then boosting 3 times is the best way to get a lot of distance. Alright guys, so we've covered builds and we've covered movement. Let's go ahead and get into the fighting tactics. I'm sure all you Jet Wing mains know the constant dash attack that you do over and over. It's super annoying, just gonna say that. It definitely can pay off though, and there's actually a little bit more to this class that you can do. So if you have arrow damage and can hit your shots, keyword hit your shots, being in the air above them is always a plus, or you can accomplish the same kind of arrow damage by jumping and shooting. Moving on, dash is probably the most busted movement ability in the game at the moment, and the best way you're gonna be able to hit your dash attack is to be patient. You gotta bait out a panic swing from your opponent, then boost in for an axe swing. So you don't always have to use your boost to hit an axe swing. You can also too just boost around the side of a tree or corner and shoot your arrow, because you're going to be in the air and you're going to get that extra arrow damage if you've got that equipped. Even if you don't, you can still hit a nasty shot. So there's this really cool combo that the Jet Wings class can do, is if you hit your enemy with your axe and Ice Bolt in midair, place a bear trap underneath them, let them fall into it, shoot him with an arrow, and then boost and hit him with your axe. Jet Wings and Gauntlet can get out of this combo, but usually Headhunters are going to eat the entire combo. There's also 3 different swings you can do, minus the roll swings. You swing regularly, you can overhead axe or uppercut axe as well without boosting. Alright, hopefully those tips helped you Jetpack Drays be a little bit more toxic, but let's move on to the Grapple Gauntlet. Moonshine and Cat build a little bit differently. So starting off, Moonshine puts 1 point into the one in the chamber and then 1 into heat sinks, and then he puts 1 more point into 1 in the chamber and then completely levels out heat sinks for max cooldown. He's then going to upgrade his barrier. Class abilities are great, but with 2 charges and max cooldown, that's a lot of mobility, so having that invincibility shield can be a game changer. He then puts 3 charges into his axe, so he hits for 225. Remember, 2 axe swings and an arrow will kill any opponent with no armor if it's leveled up. He would then max his grapple charges and get his Ice Bolt. I want to get this across to you, the way Moonshine just built is very aggressive, so if that's not you, then this build from Cat may be a better passive one. At the start, Cat's going to get 2 grapple charges and then level out his heat sinks for max cooldown. The beginning of Cat's build is the same as Moonshine's, they just leveled out a different way. From this point, he builds differently. He levels out his Ice Bolt and then maxes his grapple charges. He would then get his second electronic, usually a barrier. The reason he leaves his axe for last is because beating a good jetpack in an axe fight is really hard because of all their mobility. So having more mobility yourself and protection with electronics is the way to go. Being able to move quickly in and out of combat is important to outplay jetpack players. Now I'm sure all you guys know how to move with the grapple, but a lot of you guys actually grapple incorrectly when trying to move around the map. If you grapple too high, you might take that stamina debuff and not be able to move when you hit the ground. And if you grapple too low, you're not going to get any distance. Right in the middle of tall trees is kind of the sweet spot. Also, canceling your grapple is important to keep your momentum. You can keep your momentum by pulling out your bow towards the end of your grapple. This is actually the most important mechanic for grapple users to learn because the same momentum theory applies in combat. If you were in a fight, you can grapple the ground in front of you and pull your bow out towards the end and keep your momentum to do a little b-hop to strike your opponent. There is currently a bug with this class that still needs to be fixed, and it should be soon, but if you grapple too high and you grapple a wall to avoid taking that stamina debuff, you might still take hard fall. To avoid taking that stamina debuff, you have to grapple the ground when you fall. By this point, I hope you have the movement down now and you know how to b-hop in combat, but there's a few other things that make the grapple class pretty OP. If you grapple someone instead of hitting them with your axe, immediately ice bolt them on your way. It's a free ice bolt and can set you up for any number of combos. Ice Bolt is really good against Jetwing players because they are hard to hit with your axe anyways. Alright, so next, when facing a decent player, if you grapple them and come into swing, a lot of players can just parry your axe hit if they're looking for it. Another tactic you can do is cancel your grapple before you would be in range and force a panic swing and then go ahead and hit them. One combo you can do is the uppercut axe and then grapple them midair and axe them again. On your way down, you could arrow them or try to land another axe swing. This is a little bit more advanced, so I wouldn't suggest trying it if you aren't already comfortable with the grapple class. But you could also do the combo I showed you earlier with the Jetwings class. That about covers this class, so I hope these tips helped you. Alright guys, so the last class that we have is Headhunter Drum. This is such a hard class to main because of all the movement that the other classes have. So building this class is very situational, and what I mean by that is you are the strongest you are ever going to be early game. So if you're alone in your zone and you can free farm, put 2 points into your arrow damage first. The reason being, you're always going to be able to 3-tap an enemy without armor, and you won't need longer tracks or speed from your boots right away. If you are in a zone with an enemy when you spawn, get your boots leveled to 2 as fast as possible so you have that extra speed when you get in that early fight. You won't have many arrows right at the start, so leveling arrow damage would be counterproductive when you could just move faster. Alright, so you basically want to get 2 points in each of your class abilities, and once you're done with that, level your shrink, because that's the only mobility that headhunters have access to. You'd want to shrink and hit a boom shroom to get max distance going across the map. Headhunter is really hard to play, so this class is great for people who can hit their shots and have great map knowledge. From there, you're going to want to go ahead and level out your boots, then your clue duration, and then lastly, your arrow damage. So like I was just saying, for movement, there isn't any other way to get that big movement across the zone without getting lucky with a glider or shrinking and then boom shrooming. So moving on to fighting tactics, you don't have great movement, so cabins, trees, and traps have to become your best friend. Cage traps are great because of the track and you can shoot your enemy inside. Bear traps are great as well just to keep any class in place, and tripwire is perfect for a free hit. Lastly, Shrink is one of the most powerful electronics at use for headhunters because when you're so small, you're that much harder to hit. It's also great for breaking armor. I didn't include a lot for this class because being a headhunter is almost like playing Darwin pre-launch. The last tip I wanted to leave you is for farming. When using your bird, primarily use it to farm electronics so you don't put yourself in danger, or use it to grab deer and chests. Do this so you don't have to stop moving while farming to loot. There is a chance in future updates this class becomes amazing, and I look forward to doing more guides. I jam-packed as many tips as I could in the short amount of time, so if you learned something new, please like and subscribe. I know you guys hear it in every single video you watch, but I have been the main guide maker for this game for a long time, and I enjoy doing them. I'd like to get more competitiveness into Darwin, and your support can make that happen, so special thanks to top players Cat and Moonshine, who are linked down below. Please go show them some love. If I missed any tips or you've discovered any, please feel free to leave a comment down below. That is it for the guide, guys. See you next time.